Revenant is a 2015 drama about a fur trapper who winds up, due to some unfortunate events, getting kind of lost and on his own in the wilderness in the 1800s, in the cold and the dead of winter, in I believe like North or South Dakota. So he attempts to venture back to civilization while also chasing down someone who he has a bit of a beef with. I don't want to say too much to kind of spoil the movie. A lot of the movie is explained in the trailer, but they might give away a little too much for my taste, so I would leave it at that. This movie might be the single best looking movie I've ever seen. I know it's been talked about a ton, but the cinematography is simply completely stunning. It's all filmed in remote locations in the dead of winter. They filmed it only using natural light, which is apparently very difficult to do. The locations in the movie and the shots just look amazing. There's some real long shots that take place in the middle of action, in the middle of just nowhere, wilderness. So it's not like they could set up something easy on a soundstage. This is really impressive shooting. And I think it's the best I've ever seen. It's absolutely ridiculous. The acting is through the roof. A lot of people think this is the movie that's going to win Leo his Oscar. Leonardo DiCaprio is ridiculous in the movie. He's in the movie by himself for a lot of the movie. And it's him on these remote locations. It looked miserable. I don't know what Leonardo DiCaprio makes a movie. Probably something like $20 million. This might be the first performance I've ever seen where if you offered me $20 million to go do it, I'm not so sure I would. He looked pretty cold and miserable. It's possible he's a great actor. I mean, he definitely is a great actor. But I'm not sure how much of the cold and miserable part was acting. He definitely seemed to be actually very cold and miserable. The other kind of biggest lead in the movie is played by Tom Hardy, who I really enjoy. He's worked with DiCaprio before in Inception, and his character was kind of the polar opposite of that character. This character is... Tom Hardy's played this a lot lately. He's just an angry, grunting alpha male type, and he and Leo are at odds, and he just plays a despicable character. Leo was great acting in the movie, but the entire movie I was fully believing Leo as this character, but I believed it was Leo as that character. Tom Hardy, to me, it didn't seem like Tom Hardy was in this movie at all. There was just this despicable character on screen who was apparently played by Tom Hardy, but at no point during the movie did I think it was Tom Hardy. He just was this awful character. He really disappeared into the role. I totally bought him. And that's not to disparage Leo in any way. I very much bought Leo, but Tom Hardy was just absolutely this character. And I think people might lose sight of that because of how despicable the character is, not fully give Tom Hardy the credit for how amazing he did in his role. The cinematography was great. The acting was great. Unfortunately, the story was a little lackluster. By no means was it bad. I don't mean to disparage it. It's just with the rest of the movie being among the best I've ever seen in cinematography and certainly one of the best of the year acting wise, this movie should have been better than it turned out. There's definitely story in it, but it's pretty thin. It didn't need to be 2.5 hours. I understand maybe they wanted to get all this beautiful cinematography in, which it is beautiful cinematography, but as a result, it drags quite a bit. It's 2.5 hours long. They could have easily lopped an hour off and probably still had the same effect. It might not have looked as good, but it might have been a better package overall. I went into the movie with really high hopes, and I gotta say I walked away a little disappointed. I expected the cinematography to be great. You know, in a lot of the commercials, you saw how some of the beautiful shots. Obviously, watching the movie as a whole, it's even better than the commercial. But the story just should have been better. The principal issue I have with this movie is it seems like it's so well made and such a greatly made movie wasted on kind of a story. All that said, I'm still going to give the movie 4 out of 5 ties. It is among the best looking movies I've ever seen. It's phenomenally acted. The story's a little lackluster. It's certainly something I don't regret watching. I think for most people, having heard what I said, if you still think it's appealing, I think it's worth a watch. I just don't think the movie has a ton of rewatch value outside of appreciating the beauty of it. The story's not great, and it's not bad, but it's just not great. So the result is an astoundingly well-made, mediocre story. The I would say if you're on the fence, it's worth a watch to satisfy your curiosity. The only people I really recommend avoiding it are A, people who don't like a movie that drags a bit, because this does drag a bit, and B, anyone who doesn't like violence, because this movie gets very, very brutal at times. The one other thing I would say about this movie, in terms of making it worth a watch, is just to see what the actors went through to make it. There's a lot of scenes of people in the dead of winter with snow everywhere. Involving water, I would not be caught anywhere near water when it's freezing out and I got snow everywhere. There was definitely a lot of effort put into this movie, and their hard work does show. In time, I might feel better about the movie. It's just, I went in with somewhat high hopes, and I felt like I was a little let down by it. If you saw the movie, what did you think? Let me know in the comments. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm right. And if you like what you saw, please subscribe. We'll have more in the near future.